So now let's look at the first question. This question was asked in JEE Mains 24, 4th April. So in a survey of 220 students of higher secondary school, it was found that at least 125 and at most 130 students studied mathematics, and at least 85 and at most 95 studied physics, at least 75 and at most 90 studied chemistry, 30 studied both physics and chemistry, 50 studied both chemistry and maths, 40 studied both maths and physics, and 10 studied none of these subjects. So by reading just the question, you must have understood that there must have been some students who would have studied all three subjects, chemistry, physics, and maths. However, they haven't given us that number. It is, of course, included in 30, 50, and 40, where the students have studied both these subjects. So we need to find that out. We need to find out L, M, and N be the least and the most number of students who studied all three subjects. So we need to find out students who have studied all three subjects. So again, this is a question where we draw our Venn diagram and then we solve our question. So let me draw it here. So let's say this is my math section, this is my physics section, this is my chemistry section, this is my chem, this is my maths, and this is my physics. Now what have they told us? Now let me assume that students who studied all three subjects are X. Now they've told us that 30 studied both physics and chemistry. So this portion would have 30 minus X. 40 studied both maths and physics. So this would become 40 minus X. And maths and chemistry are 50 students. So this would become 50 minus X. So from here, one thing that we can say about X, the students who've studied all three subjects, is that value of X would always be greater than or equal to 30. Sorry, would be less than or equal to 30. It cannot be greater than 30, because if it becomes greater than 30, then we would have a negative value here. Now this, if X is less than 30, that means it would satisfy for X less than 40 as well as X less than 50. So one thing that we know is all the students who've studied all three subjects are going to be less than 30. Now let me assume that the students who studied only maths are M, the students who studied only physics are P, the students who studied only chemistry are C. Now what have they told us? Now this entire thing, is going to be under a universal, right? So let's say this is my universal, and they've told us that there are 10 students who studied nothing. That means out of 220 students, 10 have studied nothing. That means my M plus P plus C plus 40 minus X plus 50 minus X plus 30 minus X plus X, this would be equal to 210. So this is one of the equations that I'm getting. Let me just simplify it a little bit. So I get M plus P plus C plus 120 minus 2X, this is equals to 210. So let this equation be as it is for a moment. Now what are the other information that they've given us in the question? Let me write those information here. What have they told us? That the students who studied maths are at least 125 and at most 130. So how many students have studied maths? There it is M plus 40 minus X plus 50 minus X plus X. So we get M plus 40 minus X plus 50 minus X plus X. So this basically becomes 125 less than equals to M plus 90 minus X less than equals to 130. This is another equation that we've gotten. Now similarly, let us do the same for physics and chemistry as well. So what are we going to do after doing for chemistry and maths? We are going to have C plus, in chemistry we have the lower limit as 75 and the upper limit as 90. And for C we have 50 plus 80. So this becomes 80 minus X. Similarly, if we do for physics, we are going to have physics plus 70 minus x. This is less than equals to, what are the lower and upper bounds for physics? We have 85 and 95. So we have 95 and this is greater than equal to 85. So we've gotten our three equations. Now what I'll do is I'll simply add all these three equations so that I can get m plus c plus p together. And if I get m plus c plus p together, what can I do is I can replace it from this equation and then find out my x. So if I add these three equations, what do we get? We are going to get 125 plus 75. This would make it 200. 285 less than equals to, here we would have m plus p plus c, plus this would become 240 minus 3x less than equals to, and here we would have 220 350. Now what was the equation that we had here? M plus p plus c plus 120 minus 2x. So what I can do is I can write this 240 as 120 plus 120 and this 3x as minus 2x minus x, so that it can completely be transformed in this format and I can write it down directly as 210. So this would become 285 less than equals to m plus p plus c plus 120 minus 2x, and this would become plus 120 left out again minus x, 315. Now this entire portion, this value, we know that it is 210. So it would be, so this would become 285 less than equals to 210 plus 120 minus x is less than equals to 315. So from here, what are we getting? This would become 210 plus 120. This would become 330. If I take 330 both sides, this would become 45 less than equals to minus x less than equals to 15. And from here, if I take remove the minus sign, my sign of inequality would change. I hope you all have studied this thing. So this would become 15, 45. So this is the range of x that I'm getting. Now also, you need to remember the one range that we studied earlier was x is always less than equals to 30. So the range that we just found out by calculating was that x is less than equals to 45 and greater than equal to 15. Now x is always less than 30. Of course, x cannot be 45. If x is 45, then we would have negative number of students studying both physics and chemistry, which is not possible, right? That means our ultimately, so we would have to take intersection of these two. Basically, we would have to take intersection of these two sets. So we would have x less than equals to 30, greater than equals to 15. So this is our final answer. What have they told to us in the question? M and n be the least and most number of students. So this is my m and this is my n. Now we have to find out m plus n. So m plus n would be equal to 45. This is my answer. So m plus n is equals to 45. So I hope you must have understood. Again, whenever there are questions related to Venn diagram sets, it is very easy. Such questions do not require much time also, and they do not require too much logic or any formulas or anything or any concepts that you need to know. You can simply solve them by your common sense. Let's look at another question. Let A be a set, they've given us the set, and R be a relation, which is defined on the Cartesian product A cross A. That means we have to relate elements of set A with itself. We have A comma B comma C comma D as 2A plus 3B is equals to 4C plus 5D. Then number of elements. So we need to find out the number of elements that are going to satisfy this equation, and those elements should belong from this set. So first of all, what we'll do is first we'll find out the maximum value that is possible. We'll find out the minimum values that is possible. Based on that, we'll find out all the middle values that are possible. And then we'll check for each and every value how many relations are possible for that. From that, we'll get our number. So what I'll do is first let me find out the maximum value that is possible. So what I'll do is I'll take the minimum side of both these left and right hand sides, 2a plus 3b. From 2a plus 3b, if I take the value 4 as a and 4 as b, so 2a plus 3b. If I take the maximum of this, what is the value possible? It is 2 into 4 plus 3 into 4. So we get 20 as my maximum value. And from the other side, since it has more larger values, 4 and 5, so I will take the minimum value from here. What is it possible? I'll have to put 1 in place of C and 1 in place of D. I would get 9. That means the values that are going to range, the sum of 2a plus 3b and 4c plus 5d would range from 9 to 20. Now let me check what are the values possible by doing hit and trial with 1, 2, 3 and 4. So first of all, I can see that 2a plus 3b should be equal to 4c plus 5d. Now what are the values that can be possible? So 9 is possible first of all, because if I take a value as, let's say, as 3 and b value as 1, so this would become 6 plus 3, 9. So it is satisfying. So 9 can come, one of the numbers. What would be the other numbers that are possible? If I put 2, again I can get 13. 13 would be satisfied from both these equations. 14 can be satisfied from both these equations. 17 can be satisfied. 19 can be satisfied. Oh, sorry, 18 can also be satisfied. So before 19 we can also have 18. Now if I check, 20 cannot be satisfied from both these sides. It can only be satisfied from one of these sides. So these are the values that can be satisfied from both the equations. Now what I'll do is I'll try to find out all those relations that are possible for us to get this sum. So let's say my sum here, I'm going to make a table now. Let's say this is my sum side. This is my a comma b. This is my c comma d. My sum is 9. So what are the values of a and b? So let me write down the equation here as well. 2a plus 3b should be equal to 4c plus 5d. So what are the values of a and b that can satisfy this? It would become 3 comma 1. For c it would be 1 comma 1. Now let me check for 13. For 13, are there any other possible values that from which we could have gotten 9? No. For 13, what are the values possible? We can get 2 comma 3, and the other value that is possible, it would become 2 comma 1. Apart from this, I don't think there are any other values among 1, 2, 3 and 4 that would be possible, that would satisfy this equation. For 14, what can I have? So this can be 4 comma 2, and I can have 1 comma 2 here. Is there any other values possible for 14? Yes, there is one more possible value for 14. I can have 1 comma 4 here. If I have 1 comma 4 here, and again this would just remain 1 comma 2 because there is just one possibility. So I can get 14 2 times. What was our next number? 17. What are the ways in which we can get 17? So the ways in which I can get 17 are 4 comma 3, and in this side what can we have? 3 comma 1. Now for 18, let us check for 18 as well. 3 comma 4 is possible, and 2 comma 2 is also possible. Now let's check for 19. So for 19 I've taken 19 as the wrong number. So 19 cannot be possible from both these sides. So it is only up till 18. So 19 is not possible from both sides. So only these are the values that can be possible. So how many relations do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So that means the number of elements in this set R would simply become 6. So this is how generally you solve questions that are related to relation. Again, these are mostly questions which are related to hit and trial method. You have to use certain values of A, B, C, D, then only you can find out the answer. Such type of questions are usually time taking, and it is recommended that you solve such questions at the end of your paper when you have time left, because if you start solving these questions, it is necessary that you are going to miss out on a few cases, or you are going to calculate it wrong sometimes. Even I made this mistake of finding out 19, right? However, 19 is not possible from both these sides. So keep this thing in mind. Try to solve questions which require hit and trial methods at the end of your question paper. Now let's look at this question. A, they have given us a set. So let us find out the range of values of x that are possible in A set. So I have modulus x minus 2. I have modulus x minus 2 greater than 1. And this solving inequalities of modulus you have already studied in 11th and 12th. So what can this be written down as? This one would become x minus 2 greater than 1 and x minus 2 less than minus 1. So from here what do we get? X greater than 3 and x less than 1. So from here we get x belongs from minus infinity to 1 union 3 to infinity. So this is my A set basically. So what have I gotten for my A set? It is, my A is basically minus infinity to 1 union 3 to infinity. Now let me similarly solve for B and C. What is my B set? My B set is root under x square minus 3 greater than 1. Now, since we know that it is under root under, so one thing that we all must remember about roots is that whatever value is there inside the root, let's say I have root x cannot be negative. I mean, x cannot be negative, because if we have a negative value inside the root, it is not possible for us to solve the square root, right? Root under minus 1, we do not know what is it going to be. So we have one condition already said that x square should be greater than 3 or x square minus 3 should be greater than 0. This is one of the conditions that we need to apply. So from here we get x minus 3 into x plus 3 greater than 0. And this, solving this type of inequalities we've studied, that means x should belong from minus infinity to minus 3 union 3 to infinity. So x should be a value between this. Now let us solve this inequality. What I'll do is, we have root under x square minus 3 greater than 1. So I'll square both these sides. After squaring we get x square. This would become minus 4 greater than 0. So here we would have x plus 2, x minus 2 greater than 0. So from here what do we get? X belongs from minus infinity to minus 2 union 2 to infinity. Now I'll check whether this value and this value, I have to take intersection, right? Because x should satisfy these values. This is the domain of x, right? This is the domain that x needs to satisfy at any case. And this is the values that we are getting from solving the equation. So upon intersection, what do we get our B values to be? It would again be from minus infinity till minus 3. It would be from minus infinity up till minus 3. And here we would have union 3 to infinity. This would be my intersection, right, of these two sets. So now I can write it down here as well. So my B set is basically minus infinity to minus 3 union 3 to infinity. Now let me solve for other one as well. For my C set, my C set belongs from modulus x minus 4 greater than equal to 2. So how can I solve this? Again, since there is a modulus sign, it would become x minus 4 greater than equal to 2 and x minus 4 less than equals to minus 2. So from here, what do we get? X greater than equal to 6 and x less than equals to 2. So from here, we get x belongs from minus infinity to 2 union. Sorry, these values are included basically. 6 to infinity. So my C section is minus infinity to 2 union 6 to infinity. So now what have they asked to us in the question? We've found out our sets A, B and C. Now they've told us that the number of subsets of this set. So basically this is a set A intersection B intersection C whole complement intersection with integers. So first let me find out A intersection B intersection C. So A intersection B intersection C, what is its value going to be? I have to take intersection of all these three sets. So it would become from minus infinity up till minus 3 union. Here I would have from 6 to infinity. 6 to infinity. So this is my A intersection B intersection C. Now what if I take its complement? So A intersection B intersection C whole complement. That means all values that are not included in this. So what are the values not included in this? So the values not included would be here this would be greater than equal to 0. So keep this thing in mind. This would be open brackets. Here I would have from minus 3 to 3 closed brackets, because of course inside the square root I can have a value which is equal to 0, right? So the intersection would also have closed brackets. So what are the values that would come in the complement? From minus 3 up till 6, but 6 is not included and minus 3 is not included. Now I have to take the intersection of this with integers. So what are the integers that are going to come in this set? Basically minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So these are the values that are going to come in this set. And now they've asked us to find out the number of subsets. So let me say this is my set Z, or let me use another variable. Let's say this is my set P. If P has n number of elements in it, then how do we find out the number of subsets? It is 2 to the power m. So how many elements are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 elements. So total number of subsets would become 2 to the power 8. Keeping in mind, if A set n of A, let's say it's equal to m, then total subsets become 2 to the power m. We had studied this. So this becomes 2 to the power 8, which is nothing but 256. This is our answer. So this is how you solve questions. Again, the questions that are asked from this chapter are very simple. As you could see, all these 3 questions that we solved were very simple. Also, the questions that we solved during our explanation as well, those examples, a few of them were also from previous year JEE mains questions. So you can see the level of questions they are asking from this chapter. It is very easy. You just need to use a little bit of your logic and your visualization of numbers. Based on that, you would be able to solve such questions. So that was all for this chapter. Again, I would recommend that you study this chapter very thoroughly, because this is an important chapter and it builds up your basics of concept for the further chapters that are coming. That's all. Thank you.